And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. Thank you for making us part of your day. I am joined here by Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade English teacher for Campbell Public Schools. Of course, we're going to talk a little about her new profession. Not really a change of profession, just a kind of a change in the school system, correct?
Yes.
And she's joined by three of our students, Josh Austell, Madison Barnett, and Gabby Middleton. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about Natalie Davis. First of all, may I call you Natalie?
Sure.
Natalie, welcome to the booth.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And we're also joined by Josh Austell. Josh, welcome to the booth.
Thank you.
May I call you Natalie?
Yes.
Natalie, kind of explain to me a little bit about what we're doing here today. I know that when I talk to you, I look on Facebook a lot and see what these young kids are doing. But these individuals were all published. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Kind of explain to the listeners a little bit about what happened and what was going on.
So over the last 5 years, we started doing poetry and writing submissions to different contests around the state of Missouri as well as the nation. And we had 36 students just last year's school year get published and or win contests that involved writing either poetry or creative writing.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis from Campbell Public Schools, the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade English teacher. And Natalie, you're saying that 36 kids last year got published from Campbell, is that correct?
Yes.
I think I went to school in Holcomb and graduated in 1991. I think there was about 100 kids in the entire school at that point. So kind of explain the success. How did you manage to get 36 kids, first of all, to write something on paper and then get it to where it was published?
So when I took over 10th, 11th, and 12th grade about 5 years ago, I made it a priority to try to encourage the students to write. A lot of them responded very positively to it. We did a write your own poem. We did writing their own short stories. And as they would score really well and were excited being creative, I would just offer them and share with them any opportunities that came my way for contests and publications available to high school students. And a lot of the students were really interested and turned in and submitted writing. And, you know, we had a lot of success.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th English teacher for the Campbell Public Schools. And Natalie, one thing I know, I have a son who's a senior this year, goes to Kennett. I don't know how you can get that phone out of their hands long enough to put a pencil or a pen in it. How did you manage to do that?
Well, Campbell has very strict cell phone policies even before it became a statewide law. But again, keeping them interested and giving them topics that they were interested in, giving them a little bit of freedom in their creativity and letting them choose topics, giving them basic guidelines, but they get to actually choose what they're writing about really helped a lot.
And I was somewhat remiss, I haven't even asked. Tell the listeners a little bit about Natalie Davis.
So I've been teaching, this is actually my 9th year at Campbell. All of my teaching years have been, luckily, at Campbell. I recently switched from 10th, 11th, and 12th grade English to computer apps and business. This year is my first year doing that. Absolutely loved the English teaching profession, though. And I've got 2 little boys, and they're both attending Campbell. One's in 6th grade and one's in kindergarten. So
what do you do with your 15 minutes of free time that you have every week? Nothing? Rest?
Yeah. Take a breather. Read, which my students will probably, if you ask them, say Miss Davis constantly had a book anytime there was free time, anytime they came in during my prep. If I was caught up with my grading, yeah, there was a book in my hand. That's my go-to.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, who last year was the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher at Campbell Public Schools. And we talked a lot about the 36, is that correct?
Yes.
Kids that were published. How did you decide that this is the route I'm going to go? I'm going to get these kids interested by getting them published and make them understand that if you do something and put your best in, it may work out, it may not, but if it does, you're going to be rewarded. How did you get them to buy into that?
So I actually shared a story with them. My older brother got published in a poetry book when he was fresh out of high school, and had a really positive story that went along with that when he actually got into an English writing class in college. And so I shared that with them, and I talked to them about how amazing it is to be in high school and be able to tell people, like, I'm published. And some of these students, they've been published multiple times now. So that's just a huge accomplishment. And I just let them know, like, not many people your age can say that.
And again, I think a lot of people, I've never been published. I mean, no, I've never been published. I've wanted to be published, and I've submitted some things, but I've never been published. So having to do it when you're in high school is an amazing feat, and it's very impressive. So tell me, Natalie, you've been teaching 9 years. You've moved on to computer applications, and is that correct?
Yes.
In the English profession, as far as teaching, was it difficult for this generation to buy into writing and submitting things?
I feel like some of them struggle with it, especially when it comes to the wonderful world of AI that we're struggling with now.
Yes.
But I've also found that whenever they're encouraged to write from their own perspectives, AI kind of goes away because they want to express themselves. And different types of writing reach different kids. And so I've noticed a lot that AI isn't as big of a deal when you're letting them write about something that they genuinely care about and connect with.
And again, we're going to welcome the booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to go to Josh Austell. Is that correct, Josh?
That is correct, yes.
Josh, welcome to the booth.
Thank you very much.
So, Josh, tell me a little bit about Josh Austell.
So I am a junior in high school this year, and mostly participating within the bands and then like random quote-unquote sports, quiz bowl, archery, that sort of thing.
Right.
And, of course, I'm within the writing as well. I've been published, about 7-ish times, would you say?
5 times last year.
At least 5 times last year, yeah, with a couple of those coming with cash prizes and whatnot. And within that system, I agree with her heavily that a lot of it's within the personal, like, expression and whatnot. But, yeah, junior high school, same high school that you taught in. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Josh. It sounds like you're very well put together. You speak very well. What's your plans for the future? What are you wanting to do?
Honestly, I don't know. I want to have something to do with my trombone, which is what I usually play within the college system. And I'm, of course, planning to go to college, but I'm honestly not too sure. I might go to Murray State, which is in Kentucky, for those who don't know. But other than that, really, it's all up for grabs so far. I still got a year to figure it out, is what I keep telling myself.
Absolutely. And, like I tell my children all the time, I'm 52 and I still haven't got it figured out, Josh. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher from Campbell Public Schools, who talked about her incredible feat of getting 36
Yes, 36.
Kids published, which is amazing. And now we're talking to Josh Austell, who has indicated he's been published at least 7 times, 5 last year.
Yep.
And Josh is a junior there at Campbell. Talking about the trombone, my good friend Brooke DeArmond, who was the first Rowdy the Red Hawk mascot, she was on the show a couple weeks ago. Her husband Ken DeArmond is a professional trombonist in the Cape Girardeau area. So we might want to hook you up with that after with the show, and you guys can play a little trombone together and see where it goes. But Josh, I think you've got a poem that you're going to share with us. Is that correct?
I do, actually, yeah.
Why don't you tell the listeners, and again, forgive me for not knowing this, some people name their poems, some people don't.
Yeah.
What's your personal preference?
So when I'm writing, it really comes to you, like I write the whole thing, have a placeholder in the way, and then from there I go on. But with the main idea of it, I tend to just try and get the title as it comes to me. You know what I mean? It really, from your heart's fire, you got to find it. You know what I mean?
I mean, and again, we're welcome to with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. A lot of people who write things say, I started with the chorus, I started with a tagline, I started with this. And a lot of people says, you know what, it just kind of poured out of me naturally. I just started writing, and it just one paragraph to the next, it just kind of flowed. I think everybody has a different style. So your style is just kind of like, I just let it all hang out, and then we just see where we go, correct?
My main style is I have an idea. Like for this one, it was with personal turmoil and trying to grasp a lot of concepts. At this age, it's very tumultuous and there's a lot going on and you're trying to figure it out, right? So that was the idea for this one versus something like my actual short stories. I have an idea like, okay, this guy gets stuck in like a quantum realm, that sort of thing. You start off with an idea, put your pen on that dartboard and start going.
All right, outstanding. So Josh Austell, he's a junior at the Campbell Public Schools. He's going to read his poem. And is this one of the poems that was published?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Where was it published at?
I don't remember. I think it was at Here Literary Magazine thing up in Cape.
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh Austell and then let him read us the poem.
All righty. The moral implications of the clock. The clockmaker was once more at his bench. His eyes were drained of life. Fixed yet another ticking machine, his mind unraveled in the monotony. For in his youth, he still felt eons pass. He gazed upon his purgatory of metal and wood. The wretched amalgamations of brass would outlast him, yet even the clocks will become dysfunctional in time, as well as people's memories of him. All shall perish. What does it matter a decade, a year, or a century, when all that is and was ever meant to be will falter, fail, and fleetingly live? All except for his monstrous creations. His executioners chimed mercilessly as he stood in vigor. The gears may lose teeth and the weights will drop, yet what they represent will never stop. The universe cares not of the lowly clockmaker. The cosmos shall vacuously continue, the purpose as futile as any he may conjure. The ticking sounded off louder than the man's heart. His blood boiled in rage. In his futile and blank-length existence, he was fueled by a ravenous hatred. The ticking and chiming drove him lunatic. He armed himself against the gallows of inevitability with the same tools that led to the vile creations, until his eyes met his visage in the glass of the clocks. Lowering his arms, he knew his passion of destruction would fix not. Defeatedly, he sat down his tools and sat on his throne of isolation. The clock still ticked, and there wasn't sudden meaning, but destroying the world wouldn't bring any gleaming to that inky abyss of space in which we reside, gathering himself once more at his bench.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Josh Austell. That was the poem that he wrote last year as a sophomore, correct?
Correct, yes.
He's a junior now at Campbell Public Schools. That was actually published while in the class of Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher at Campbell Public Schools. Natalie, I can see what you mean why people would enjoy your class. It's almost like, hey, we're going to let your free-flowing ideas flow out of you, much like a songwriter or something like that, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And I guess is the whole key, a lot of the problems with English is, here's what we're going to do. Everybody's going to do the same thing, and then it's just going to be monotony. Mm-hmm. So explain to me again, how do they buy into that?
So I think like Josh was talking about, again, giving them, here's the basic guideline. I want you to write a poem. You pick what it's about. You pick how, I'm going to give you guidelines, but you're choosing. I even last year and the year before actually started letting them at the end of the year, once state testing was over and done with.
Let's not talk about state testing. My blood is going to boil if we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about actually educating our children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We what I was saying was once we finished with all of that, we actually did a writing unit where it was, you guys make a list of things. I'm going to give you, hey, I want you to make a list of people. I want you to make a list of stuff. And then you're going to pick something from that list and we're just going to write about it. Because once you take away those expectations of, we have to meet this standard, and you just let the students write about things they care about, it was amazing to me hearing some students that used to tell me, I can't write. I'm horrible at this. I'm going to be your, B, C, whatever student. They actually realize, no, I can write. When I'm given that opportunity to write about something that actually connects with me, I can write.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590 with Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th English teacher from Campbell. And Natalie, that kind of leads me to my next thing. Josh is talking about playing the trombone and being in band. A lot of people think that in education, everything has to be graded. There has to be, everybody either has to make an A, they're a B or a C or a D. And that discourages a lot of people from wanting to be in like arts or things of that nature because they say, well, I'm not as good as a writer as Josh is, but if I really try and do my best, I can still make good grades because it's not about competing with other people. It's about competing with yourself, correct?
Yeah.
And you indicate that you're a big reader. What's your go-to reading? Is that
it really depends on what I'm in the mood for, because it could be fiction, it could be nonfiction, it could be something that our elementary kids would read like Harry Potter. But it really just depends on what I'm actually in the mood for. Yeah.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. We're talking to Josh Austell. Josh, let me ask you this. You probably are kind of a sci-fi guy, maybe. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going out on a limb there from listening to the poem.
Right.
Is there certain things that you enjoy reading or watching?
So I really enjoy like philosophical books. I think his name's Cormac McCarthy, The Road, Blood Meridian. Albert Camus is a really nice dude. He's from Algiers. That's around France, I believe. And within that, there's a lot of, like, within this moralistic ideas and whatnot. I just finished Crime and Punishment. And like you're saying with the sci-fi stuff, I actually am reading, what is it called? Hold on. Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Adam Douglas. You might have heard that one.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher, who has moved on to computers and
computer apps and business.
I'm sorry to see that you're not still in the English, but I understand that, after 10, 11, 12 years, actually 9 years, you probably want a little change, something, keep it a little fresher and things of that nature. Josh, tell me a little bit about when you first signed up for 10th grade English and you heard what was going on and Miss Davis come and says, hey, we're going to write a poem. What was your initial thought?
Well,
honestly.
Okay. Here's the funny part about
with
this.
proper language.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got you. See, this was actually my very first poem ever. It got me into all the other types of writing. And as of now, I've written at least 5 to 6 short stories, as well as a myriad of poems, like you're saying, with some not titled. Some of them I don't even know what to call them. But when I first came into the English, I was scared out of my wits, frankly. So the main idea was, of course, you're going up a level, you're going up a tier, 9th to 10th. And I was like, oh, crap, what am I going to do? And the English teachers that switched out like candy for me, frankly, because we had, I think, 4 English teachers in the span of, within my time frame being there, right? So within that, you get the idea that I'm going, again, up, and then I don't even know this person at this rate. No offense to you, of course. But within that, there's a lot of fear, and I don't really know how to express myself at this point. But then I find this writing, and I find my love for Lovecraft, as funny as that may sound, my love for H.P. Lovecraft actually really helped out with this, because I realized the idea of writing isn't just to have an idea there, it's to not care what the others think about that idea. It's to have something beautiful and morph it, which really helped me out within learning in her class, yeah.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis from Campbell Public Schools, the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher, talking a lot about her kids who she's managed to help get published. Natalie, talk a little bit about where the kids were published and a little bit about that. What kind of journal or book or the actual publishing location?
So we had Here Literary Magazine, which is out of Cape Girardeau. We had Young American Poetry Digest, which is a nationwide publication that they do each year. We had Appley, which was also a nationwide contest. Last year, we started a new one, which Josh was published in, which was Young Writers, and they were publishing little mini saga short stories. We also did the VFW and the Daughters of the American Revolution essay contests. But yeah, I mean, any time that something would come across my desk, hey, this is a new contest or a new, publication interested in high school students writing. If I found out it was legitimate, I was sharing it with my students and saying, hey, I'm highly encouraging you guys. Think about submitting something.
And again, the thing that a lot of people don't, I guess, I'm assuming Campbell's 1-to-1 with Chromebooks. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is all the writing that the kids done, is it actually done on typing, or do they write it out in hand? Does anybody write with a pen and pencil anymore?
And when I was teaching English, I mixed it. So some of the assignments would be online on their Chromebooks. Some of them would be handwritten. That was just my personal preference, just to have them do a little bit of both, because they need that experience with technology. They need to be able to type and make sure that they are grammatically correct with their typing. But yeah, they also need to be able to handwrite it and express themselves in a way that's, understandable through their handwriting.
So it's my understanding that we're not going to use abbreviations for everything like they do in the text. I can't even think LOL and all those things and emojis as they're writing it out. Again, pretty soon it's going to be a lost art and no one will be able to write. We do we even teach cursive writing in schools anymore?
Actually, at Campbell, they do. I know at least for a couple of years. I don't think that it's taught all the way up anymore. But yes, we do. They do still teach it because like I said, I have a son in 6th grade and he learned how to write his name in cursive, how to write cursive letters. They don't focus on it as much as they did when I was in school, obviously. But yeah.
And again, we're on Welcome to Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th grade English teacher, Josh Austell, Madison Barnett, and Gabby Middleton, who will be joining us shortly. I can remember in school whenever we had the on the blackboard, I don't even know if you have a blackboard anymore, in which they would write in chalk, and it had it spread out, and we would have the paper that would also mimic it, and we'd have to do the cursive writing. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know that they obviously we don't have the chalkboards anymore. We have the whiteboards, smart boards, but I do know, like I said, I do know at least in a couple of grades in our elementary building that they are still teaching cursive writing. Yeah.
Outstanding. And at this time, could I get you to switch with? Is Gabby going to switch in?
Yep.
Gabby Middleton, as we're here on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. We got Gabby Middleton. Can you scoot up to that microphone? Do you need to lift the chair up a little bit on the right side? It kind of goes up.
Okay, there we go.
How are you doing, Gabby?
I'm good. How are you?
Tell listeners a little bit about Gabby Middleton.
I'm a junior at Campbell High School. I do cheer, and this is my third year at a public school. I went to a private school all my life, and Campbell's the first public school I went to.
Oh, well, tell me about that experience. Have you enjoyed your 3 years here at Campbell?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. And it's my understanding that last year you were published. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What did you write?
A poem.
And did you bring us that poem here today?
Yes, sir, I did.
Do you want to share that with us?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my poem is called Soaked. I can feel the water running onto my head, past my arms, flowing down my legs, flooding my entire body. It fills my lungs to the point of spilling over. The waves of agony crash through my mind. Icy water runs throughout my veins. I feel the sorrow drip out of my fingertips. I'm drenched in pain I can't seem to dry.
And again, that's Gabby Middleton from Campbell Public Schools, the poem that she wrote that was published. Gabby, tell me a little bit about Gabby Middleton. What is your plans for the future? Have you decided yet?
Yes, sir. I plan to go into social working with like little kids and stuff. Okay.
Have you decided? I know you're only a junior, correct? Have you decided about what you want to do as far as your secondary education or after, obviously not in high school, but after high school, where do you want to go?
I have no idea yet.
Well, it's still early in the game. Tell me a little bit about the experience of writing in Miss Davis's class. What did you first initially think when she said, hey, we're going to write a poem?
I was thinking, I was really excited because I love poems so much, and I love Miss Davis as an English teacher. I feel like I've learned so much being in her class, and I feel like doing the poem has really, expanded my writing abilities.
And is it my understanding that you've written other things other than this poem, Soaked?
No, this is the first thing I wrote.
Really? Have you been writing anything since then?
No, sir.
But that was a... kind of explain to the listeners again. We're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Natalie Davis, the English teacher for the 10th, 11th, 12th grade high school Campbell. She has since moved on to computers and technology. Tell me a little bit about where did this poem come from? Did you just envision it, or you just?
Well, I was going through a little bit of a rough patch last year, and I don't know, it just came from the heart. I feel like.
And did you enjoy the fact that Miss Davis just kind of said, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to write something that means something to you? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you still write to this day?
Not really. Not since Miss Davis left being an English teacher.
Well, now you're going to make us very sad. Are you going to pick up the pen and paper again, or what have you decided?
I might, if the opportunity comes up.
Okay. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Gabby Middleton, a junior who hopes to be a social worker someday. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Natalie, tell me a little bit more about the process. You know, when you first came in 9 years ago, had you taught before that?
No, I had not actually. My degree was in historic preservation, so my whole goal was to work in a museum. But being an English teacher was ultimately the best decision that I made. And like I said, all of my years teaching have been spent at Campbell. I substitute taught prior to that, but everything has been at Campbell. So,
Well, let's talk a little bit about historic preservation. Where did you go to get your degree in historic preservation?
so I attended SEMO,
Okay.
and then I did my internship at the Harry S. Truman Library and Museum in Independence, Missouri.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the 10th, 11th, 12th English teacher for the Campbell Public Schools, who's now moved on to computers and I always get
And
this
business,
and business. I always get that wrong. I apologize. And who has a degree in historic preservation. Natalie, I should know this. Are you from the area originally?
I am, yep, born and raised Malden, Missouri, went to school at Campbell up until my junior year, graduated from Risco.
And, you know, I don't know if you're familiar, but at one time there was a building in Holcomb, Missouri, Hart's grocery store. Hart's grocery store, in order for one time, for some reason, we decided we were going to take it down. I was representing the city as the city attorney. And we had to have a historical preservation document prepared for that building prior to it being demolished. Is that something that's common?
So depending upon how old the building is, yes. Believe it or not, your older buildings can be protected once they reach a certain age. And so you would have to go through historic preservation societies to try to do anything with them. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have a wide variety. Again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. A wide array of things that you've done. You indicated that you work at the Harry Truman Library. How long did you do that?
For 3 months during a summer. That was my internship program.
And is that what you decided that this isn't for me, or?
Well, not quite. By the time, so in the middle of my internship, my advisor at the Truman was basically telling me, we would love to hire you whenever, you know, your internship is over. Unfortunately, by the end of the internship, most of your museums, especially like your presidential museums, are government funded. And by the end of the internship of just a month and a half later, they were actually letting people go. And so that was kind of a wrong time to go into that particular job market. So.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis and Gabby Middleton and Madison Burnett, who's going to join us here in a minute, and Josh Austell, who talked earlier. Gabby, tell me a little bit about Campbell schools. You indicated that you went to a private school for a while, and then you've been here for 3 years. Was there a reason for the change? Did you just decide something that needed to change in your life?
My private Catholic school only goes up to 8th grade, so for high school I had to come to Campbell, and I really like it at Campbell. There's a lot more people, because at the private school there was, I think, 7 other kids in my class, and now that I'm at Campbell, it's definitely a big change from having so little people in my class, and I like it.
So it's my understanding you went to St. Teresa's.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct? I was joined by Kim Lynn, who's the principal, and Father Victor came on and talked a little bit about the St. Teresa's dinner that's going to be coming up. And one thing about the St. Teresa School, it gives you kind of a jump on the public school system, so I'm excited that you got to do that. But again, you know, it's a unique situation when you go from a private school to a public school. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was it a big change?
It was very big.
Is that just because of the number of people and things of that nature?
It's just everybody at that private Catholic school acted like it was really conservative there. And then when I moved to Campbell, it was just like these people were, I don't know, they had like a lot more to say than I did.
Well, I mean, you know, you seem to be very talkative. You seem like very outgoing. So, and again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the English, I'm going to say professor, English teacher, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, Campbell Public Schools. Natalie, tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you did while you were in that role. As you're going through and you're saying, hey, we're going to get published, tell me some other things that you really emphasize to the students as part of your curriculum.
So we really focused on, I tried to divide it up. We had fiction that we focused on an entire unit of fiction because that's how some kids learn, getting to listen to fictional stories. We have some students that connect with nonfiction and the real life stories that take place. They like to hear about those. The writing units, like I said, creative writing, whether that's poetry or short stories. And then, like I said, at the end of the year, just giving them that freedom to say, okay, we're doing this and you get to write about whatever you want to write about. And as a matter of fact, one of the assignments I said, at the end of the hour, you're shredding the paper. write about whatever you feel right now. And nobody's going to look at that paper but you. You can shred it before you walk out the door, which a lot of them actually responded to and were able to write things probably that they might not have written otherwise. And just to get that creative freedom out and that expression out. But we focused on quite a lot. I did quite a lot with them in the year. We jokingly said they had no free days. And I don't know that it was joking so much. I would give them like a free day before Christmas and, a free day or two at summer. But they worked hard. We just steadily worked.
And again, everyone, welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis. And, Natalie, one of the things that's amazing to me when I was in school, I can remember we were required to have a reading list. We read The Pearl, we read Tale of Two Cities, I believe, numerous things of that nature. Do we still emphasize that anymore in curriculum in the English departments?
So we do still have, when it's kind of up to the teacher, but we definitely still have reading lists. With my sophomores, when I was teaching English, they read Fahrenheit 451, and they also read, that was their fiction, they read the book Night as their nonfiction. My juniors read The Great Gatsby, which a lot of them loved, and then their nonfiction was I Am Malala. And then my seniors read Frankenstein. And then they actually had two choices for their nonfiction. They could either read Chasing Lincoln's Killer or they could read The Faraway Brothers. I kind of gave them a little bit of option there, which one they wanted to read. But then, short stories throughout that they read too.
I mean, you talk about short stories that like Edgar Allan Poe was at The Cask of Amontillado and things of that nature that you can kind of focus in on. And again, we're welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Gabby Middleton. Gabby, you indicated that you're a cheerleader. When you're not cheerleading, what else do you do there at Campbell?
I'm mostly don't do anything, just work.
Okay, so you're a worker, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good deal. And Natalie, tell me a little bit about your new occupation, profession, position there at Campbell Public Schools. What are you doing there now?
So a lot of what I do now, like I said, computer applications, business technology, personal finance, a lot of the classes that I'm teaching now are what I like to call the real life classes. Regardless of what the students choose to do when they graduate from Campbell, they're going to need to know this stuff, which is a big part of why I moved. I love English and I will always love English. But the opportunity to teach the students something that regardless of whether they go to college or a technical school or into the military or straight into the workforce, they're going to learn something they need to know. That was a big sell for me that I wanted to do that.
And again, Aaron, welcome to the booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, who's talking about our new role there as computers and technology?
Computers, apps, and business. Yeah.
Why do I always want to put technology in there?
That's fine.
You mentioned some things that's always come to my mind. I'm always amazed at how this generation doesn't know how to write a check or how to make a budget or how to file taxes or even think about filing taxes. Is that kind of the stuff you're covering in your new
Yes,
your class?
100%. The personal finance class covers all of those. We use the Dave Ramsey curriculum, and it is amazing. It's very informative, very easy to understand as far as terminology goes. It's not over the students' heads. And yes, we've actually already covered budgeting. We just completed with check writing. They're going to be talking this week. We're talking about credit and debt. So it covers quite a lot of those things they're going to need to know.
And, I'm always amazed. People will come in and say, well, I don't know how I could be out of money. I still have checks, because people don't realize. And I think it's the old adage of if you don't see the actual physical money in your hand going out, you don't realize that you're spending and where you're at deficit spending. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And other than the personal finance stuff, you talked a lot about what you're covering. What's going on in the computer world there at Campbell?
So with computer applications, we actually used the Comp TIA program, and it walks them through everything from computer essentials, internet essentials. It walks through all of the Microsoft Office programs. I'm going to be talking with them about Google programs, and to the best of my ability, we offer testing for MOS certifications that the students can get. And I'm trying to look into more certifications, maybe some Google App certifications, anything that I can that can be offered to our students that they could achieve before they graduate.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis. And Natalie, one thing that I find was when I was in school back in 1991, I graduated. Then I went on to Southeast Missouri State University and graduated with a degree in finance. Was that everybody thought that you have to have a 4-year degree. You had to go to a 4-year degree, then you have to get a master's or a doctorate to do something like that. That's not the case anymore, is it?
It's really not. And I actually, if you were to ask any of the students in this room, they've probably heard me say college is no longer the guarantee. Technical schools are great. There's a lot of jobs that are, desperately needing to be filled that require technical degrees. We've talked about the military and going straight into the workforce. So, yeah, I mean, when I was a high school graduate, that was still the case, that go to college, get your degree, get a good job. But nowadays, I mean, yes, college is still great. I'm 100%, always going to say college is great. But yes, the technical schools, straight into the workforce, military, those are all really good options for our students now.
And, the ability to find electricians, plumbers, linemen, bricklayers, things of that nature, that's a lost art form, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the going into those technical type jobs, those hands-on jobs, I mean, they're making the money now because they're in such short supply. So yeah, definitely a good possibility there.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Gabby Middleton. Gabby, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to say anything you want to say out there to the listeners. I know that you've read us your poem. It was called Soaked. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It's the one and only thing that you've ever written, but it was published. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when Miss Davis said, Gabby, you've been published, how did you feel about that?
I was shocked because I just kind of wrote what I was feeling on the paper. I didn't really think anything of it, and I turned it in, and Miss Davis was like, Gabby, this poem's really good, and I was really confused because I didn't believe her at first.
And so we hope that you keep writing. We hope that you don't give it up because it's very good, and we really appreciate it. So if you don't care, can you and Madison switch spots real quick? And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And I'm welcoming my third guest. She's going to put on the headphones. And forgive me, Madison, your last name?
Barnett.
And she goes to Campbell. Madison Barnett. Tell those listeners a little bit about Madison Barnett.
Well, I'm a senior at Campbell High School. Miss Davis was my teacher for 3 years. At first, she started as my 7th grade teacher, and then things switched over, and then I had her again in 10th grade. And like Gabby said, Miss Davis is a really good English teacher. She's been my favorite English teacher that I've ever had. But that's about it.
Oh, outstanding. And again, we're going to welcome Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Madison Barnett. A little bit about you did some writing. Is that correct?
I did a poem.
You did a poem. And I guess my question, like I've asked Josh and I asked Gabby, when she said, all right, we're going to write a poem, what was going through your head?
Well, last year, it was not the first time we'd written poems. I love writing. Writing is one of my favorite passions, reading, writing. So finding something to write was not that hard. I just found whatever was closest that day. And I wrote it down.
And not to try to be in your business or anything of that nature, how many poems or short stories do you think you've written?
Short stories, I've written a lot of. As embarrassing as this is, I used to write fan fiction. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff that I have that's published, but
Right.
not quite really. I think I've actually been published in a book like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, that's amazing. And you're a senior, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, and we're talking to Madison Barnett. And Madison is indicating that she is a senior. Madison, do you have plans for what you're going to do after you graduate from Campbell?
I think I want to take a gap year just to settle out after senior year. But I do know I want to do something with writing, whether that's my actual profession or like something I do just on the side. If I were to do anything else, it would be probably journalism.
Absolutely. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth. And Madison with two D's. I'm not going to mess that up. I believe you brought your poem that you want to read to us. Is that correct? Do you title your work?
I do.
Okay. And what's the name of this poem?
This one is called Masquerade.
All right. Go ahead.
Dresses of silk, masks of gold. People move between one another, a dance and a song. My eyes seek yours, and yet you're nowhere near. My lost love, a light put out. When you come back, will you know my face? I would know yours, in a room full of loved ones. I see you with my eyes closed, hear your voice in silence, feel your touch when no one is near, smell your scent on the breeze, taste your lips on mine. I yearn for your return, my love.
And that's outstanding. And again, that's Madison Barnett, a senior, Campbell Public Schools, on the poem that she wrote while she was in Natalie Davis's English class there in Campbell. Natalie, in talking to Madison, I think that she has a very, very, very deep talent of writing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And have you seen that in the years that you've taught her?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She's been one of my top writers for several years now. I mean, like she said, I had her in 7th grade, which was, I think, a little bit of a wake up for the 7th graders because they didn't know how to deal with me to begin with.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. What do you mean by didn't know how to deal with you?
Well, your junior high teachers are supposed to be like that bridge between elementary where you kind of get a little bit more babied and high school where they expect you to be an adult.
Right.
So I definitely was that bridge. I had high expectations, and Madison was always one of mine that met those expectations and typically even exceeded them.
Outstanding. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Natalie Davis, the English teacher for Campbell Public Schools last year, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. She's in her 9th year of teaching, and I'm going to butcher this again, but you're in computer apps and business. Yep. And computer apps and business. And she's explained to me that one of the most amazing thing I've ever heard is she actually teaches a class that teaches life skills at Campbell Public Schools.
Yes. Yep.
How to write a check, how to budget, things of that nature. And again, that's a big shout out to Superintendent Ben Foster, I would think, for allowing you to be able. Did you come to him and say, I'd like to teach that, or has it been something that's been there for a while?
They have actually been offering that for a few years now. The previous teacher was Karen Miller. She was amazing. And when she chose to retire, I jumped at the opportunity and went straight to Mr. Foster and said, look, if you have any possibility that you would consider me for this, I would really like to be considered. So,
and I hope that they make it mandatory that every student take that class.
Yes, personal finance is a required to graduate class at Campbell. Yep.
Absolutely. And Madison, tell me a little bit about some of the stuff that you write, because I think that, you're kind of quiet, but I think you've got a lot going on up there in regards to your writing. How often do you write? Do you write daily?
No, not daily. I used to when I had a whole bunch of free time, like when I was younger, I guess, and school wasn't as hard. I do write as often as I can, though. I have like a little note on my phone that I write on as often as I can. Either be short stories or poems. And
again, this is kind of a unique thing. Do you ever think about turning your lyrics over into a song, applying music to it, or things of that nature? Or are you just more into the actual lyrics and how it flows?
I'm more into the writing because I'm like a super big reader. I've always been a really big reader. And so being able to do what I love, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, it's really freeing in a way that Josh said earlier. It's freeing, and it allows me to put down words that I would not often be able to say out loud.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the English teacher there at Campbell Public Schools. And now we're talking to Madison Barnett. Madison is kind of explaining her view on writing and things of that nature. And it's almost, it's very deep and very philosophical in the way that you put that out there. Is a lot of the stuff you write personal as things that have happened to you, or is it just, I've read this book and I've read this book and I kind of combine two genres and things of that nature? Or how does your writing come to you?
Sometimes it is very personal. Masquerade that I had written was a little bit personal. But most of the time it's more of me recognizing tropes that I had seen in books and wanting to do them in my own way. But I usually get like a little bit far in them and then like the burnout kind of like smacks me. So.
I understand. And again, Natalie, what are some of the things, and we've talked a little bit about it. You say you like to read. You're a very avid reader. How many books would you say you read a year?
Well, yeah, I really could not tell you exactly how many I have read. I could tell you that my husband jokingly tells me that he's going to have to build on another room for all of the books that I keep bringing home. And he actually bought me a Kindle so that I would stop bringing some actual books home and get them on a little Kindle instead of, bringing them and putting them on the shelves that no longer have room. But yeah, that I really don't know. I haven't actually counted in a year how many I've read.
That means a lot, correct?
Yeah, a lot.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Natalie Davis, the English teacher last year for 8 years, I guess. This is your 9th year teaching, and you're now doing computers. And I always mess the other part up. One thing you said that I'm going to be a little disappointed in you. You said that he bought you a Kindle.
Yes.
There's nothing like holding a newspaper or a book.
Yes,
but,
I agree.
So we're all on the same page with that. But at some point, the space just outlimit. Because I try to read on those Kindles, and I don't do a very good job because I want to fold up the paper and and I want to like really thumb it like a well thumb. Some people read the same book over and over. But again, I'm proud of you for getting a Kindle. What do you think about what do you think about this new Kindle age?
I mean, when we go on vacations or when we go somewhere and I it's nice to have it. It is. But I am the same way. I like to have the physical book that I can turn the pages, and those really old books that have that wonderful smell for anybody that knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I would 100% prefer books every time. However, to keep the peace in my marriage, I gotta, not take over the entire room with books.
I understand it. It looks like Madison, you have a little comment about the Kindle. Is that correct?
I love my Kindle. I will say that right now. I love it. I got one for Christmas, and it's my favorite thing ever.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, having a great conversation with some outstanding students from Campbell Public School. Josh Austell, who's a junior, Madison Burnett, who's a senior. We also have Gabby Middleton, who's a junior. We're joined by Natalie Davis. And one thing, Natalie, I'm extremely excited about is the fact that you brought back to Campbell Public Schools the love of writing. I see people, kids nowadays, 15, 16, 17, they could be in a room beside each other and they'll be texting instead of communicating. Isn't that just absolutely infuriating to you?
Yeah, like I said, we were lucky that Campbell had a pretty strict cell phone policy prior to the law. So I didn't have to deal with that too much. But yeah, it's definitely refreshing whenever you're in a class full of students who are engaged and we had a lot of classroom discussions and classroom debates, and they were good quality discussions. It wasn't just me asking them to speak and then them sitting awkwardly for a half of an hour. It was good. And it's nice whenever the students are giving you something back and it's not just you standing at the front of the room speaking to them.
And, again, that leads me to we trust our teacher enough to say, hey, I'm going to put my opinion out there. And they may not agree with my opinion, or the other person may not agree with my opinion, but that doesn't mean my opinion is incorrect or wrong, right? I mean, isn't that what debate's about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do y'all do that quite a bit still at Campbell?
I am hoping we have a very good English teacher now. She's got 15 years experience that took my place. I'm hoping she will continue that. I'm hoping she's going to continue the writing contest. I feel pretty confident that she will. But I'm hoping that will all continue, definitely.
And again, we're on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd. Talking to Natalie Davis, the English teacher who's moved on to computers. And
Business.
Business. What kind of business courses are you teaching there at Campbell?
So we have the main business. We have business technology, which basically is kind of like advanced computer applications with a little bit of career readiness thrown in. And then we also have accounting, which covers a lot of the different types of businesses and how to prepare their financials.
Can I tell you a very funny story about accounting? I'll tell you I know you're going to like this. This is going to be really good. So, as a lot of you know, I went to Southeast Missouri State University, and I had an outstanding professor by the name of Dr. Deborah Beard. Dr. Beard was the accounting professor, and she was the chair at the time. And I really liked her. I was in my first accounting class. I never took accounting in high school, but I thought I was going to be an accountant. That's how together I was, ladies and gentlemen, when I was going. So I'm going through, and she says, Darren, I really like you a lot. You're a very, very funny person, because I think I'm funny. And she says, but maybe accounting's not quite for you. And I said, I respect that. That's what I want. Somebody's open and honest with me. And, then fast forward 20 years later, you may be familiar with Ben Foster's wife.
Yeah.
Ben Foster's wife's mother is Deborah Beard. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Small Boot Hill world.
Absolutely. And she was from the Cape Jackson area. But, she said, Darren, hey, you've tried it. It's just not for you. And I greatly appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you this, Miss Davis. Obviously, I don't think this is have you ever had a student who says, should I try this or not try this? And you've ever tell them, no, don't try something?
I am of the very strong opinion you try it at least once, as long as it's not something that's bad for you, obviously. But yeah, that's all that. You at least try it once. And then if you come to that conclusion, this is not for me, then yeah, it's okay. It's 100% okay to step away from it. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, and we're winding down here. We've got a couple minutes left with Natalie Davis, the Campbell English teacher who has moved on to computers and business.
Yep.
I finally got that right. She's been teaching 9 years. I'm also been joined by Josh Austell, Madison Barnett, and Gabby Middleton, who are all three put their poems out there. They're all amazing. They've all been published. Madison, I haven't even asked you, other than that poem, you've been published before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Has it all been poems, or has it all been short stories, or a combination, or what?
I think it has all been poems, if I remember correctly. I know I had 2 published last year. This one was specifically picked by the America Library of something. I can't remember, actually.
America Library of Poetry.
Thank you. Okay. Another one, I think it did go to the Here Literary magazine again. And I know I've been published in that at least twice.
Also, Young American Poetry Digest.
Yes, thank you. I have that book.
And again, as a true quality educator, Miss Davis jumps in to assist her student. And it's been a pleasure. Natalie, I'm going to leave this with you. Is there anything else that you would like to leave our listeners with? I'm extremely amazed and so happy that you guys came down here and read these poems. They're all amazing. And again, for those who don't know, 36 of your students were published.
This past school year, yes, 36. The first year, again, I did it for 5 years. The first year we had 16, and last year was my biggest year. We had 36.
And we're extremely lucky. And for anyone who's wanting to get Miss Davis gifts, she takes books, nothing on a Kindle. We want actual books, hardback, softback, any of those. First editions will be preferred.
Absolutely.
So that way we can have her. And again, Miss Davis, I thank you very much, Natalie, for coming. I'd like to thank Gabby Middleton, Madison Barnett, and Josh Austell. I got all those names correct, didn't I? For joining us and sharing our poems. And on behalf of my producer, Misty Hankins, who's not here today, and my executive producer, Evan Todd, I'd like to thank you for joining us and making us part of your day. I hope you have a great afternoon and a better tomorrow.